Well, moving into our next segment of the day, we have far-left Representative Bowman screaming cowards gutless at Republicans about guns. And if you recall, when we were covering the White House press briefing yesterday, I said, look how she's grandstanding, meaning Karine Jean-Pierre on the podium, and saying all these things about Republicans on how, basically they're cowards, and if they had courage, they would do all this stuff. They would pass comprehensive gun reform laws, whatever the hell that means. They would sit there and make sure they ban all assault weapons and, confiscate your firearms. If they had the courage to do it, they would, and all this stuff, right? And I said, this is how Democrats work. They base everything off of emotions and feelings rather than their head. Okay? Republicans and conservatives use this. Emotions come second or last, because you got to sit there and be logical about this stuff. We got a video clip here, and some of you might have already seen it. I'll get to it in just one moment. But in the wake of the Nashville shooting, you have far-left Representative Jamal Bowman, guess where he's from? Democrat of New York, of course, screamed at Representative Thomas Massie, is it Massie or Massie, from Kentucky, on Wednesday that Republicans were cowards in a rant about gun control, prompting him to calmly respond that just as members of Congress have protection, children in schools need protection too. But that's being proposed by Blackburn, or Black Bum. I can't remember what her name is. I'm fumbling on freaking all the words today as far as their last names go. But Karine Jean-Pierre just sits there and totally negates the thing, which we saw in our first segment today, and says, well, we just need to remove assault weapons. That's actually going to solve the problem. No, it ain't. So Bowman has made numerous statements in the past about defunding police, although he reportedly asked for a special police detail to protect his home in 2021. Let that one sink in the same way that they say that border walls don't work, fences don't work, walls don't work. You get all these Democrats building walls around their homes and around the Capitol. In the same way they want to defund the police and say that more guns kill more people, they're asking police detail with guns to protect their homes and themselves and wanting to defund them. This is how it works with them. So here's the clip. Let me get to it for you and pull it up, folks. It might be a little bit loud, so let me turn down the audio just a wee bit here. We'll fix the audio as it goes on. It's 2 minutes, but just listen to him screaming. This is so reminiscent of how Democrats are a bunch of crybabies and just repeating the same thing, not letting the man speak. So Black Bum's right there. You see him on the screen, and then you'll see the representative of Kentucky come in.
Children at all, cowards, pressure them, force them to respond to the question, why the hell won't you do anything to save America's children? And let them explain that all the way up until Election Day on 2024. Let them explain it all the way up to Election Day on 2024.
So he wants them to explain it. Let's see if he even lets them get a word in to explain it. This is how they work. So when you sit there and you got these crazies going, let them explain it. Let them explain it. You're like, all right, I'll explain it to you, man. No. You need to explain it to me. I'm trying to explain it to you, but you're not letting me talk. Well, you need to explain it to me. They're like all psychos, man.
They're freaking cowards. They're gutless. They're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
There's never been
I'm talking about gun violence.
in a school that allows teachers to carry.
Carry guns? More guns lead to more death. More guns lead to more death. Look at the data. You're not looking at any data. You're carrying the water for the gun lobby. Look at the.
This is the same guy that was probably pushing the whole COVID-19 lockdown stuff. Look at the data. It's like, yeah, I have almost 100% chance of surviving. So I'm not going to stay indoors. I want to go back to work. No, you got to look at the data. You're going to die. You're going to die. You got to look at the data. Take the jab. You got to look at the data, the data. Follow the science. He's probably one of those guys.
More guns lead to more deaths. States that have open carry laws have more death. States that have open carry laws have more death. Are you listening to what I'm saying? Calm down. Children are dying. 9-year-old children. Because the solution is not arming teachers. Have you ever worked in a school?
If this guy really cared about gun laws and protecting people, he would probably be in the neighborhoods or the district of which he represents to stop crime from happening, because New York has a hell of a lot of crime, but we know he's not going to go down there. 9-year-olds are dying all over the place. Why don't you go look at your own state there, bud? You probably got a lot of crime happening there, enough to keep you busy, but no, you're going to sit there and shout in the halls where the cameras are and, shout all these cowards, right? You blah, 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 guns, more guns, kill more people.
Have you ever worked in a school? Have you ever worked in a school?
I have.
Have you ever worked in a school? It's a yes or no question. Have you ever worked in a school? You will not answer my question. Don't stop and talk to me. Okay.
I'm a current high school math teacher. I have no qualms having armed guards on campus. I have no qualms having police officers on campus. I have no qualms having teachers carry. I will carry. I know there's some people that will comment on videos. You got to love this one. They go, well, teachers only make like $50,000 a year. Now you expect them to carry a gun? Okay, yeah, I got to carry a gun. And you know what? Maybe the state might pay for firearm training classes for me. That'd be great. Not only would I be benefiting personally for that, but also just as a society as a whole, protecting your children. It's literally a win-win for me. I get to protect myself. Like, well, you can't be strapped with that with kids around. It's like, has anybody ever seen somebody carry a firearm? I mean, you could conceal that bad boy like no other. Furthermore, all you have to do is wear a suit like that guy does. I mean, you have Secret Service having firearms all the time. You don't ever see it. So it's not like you're going to be sitting there waving the thing around, you know, look what I got. You like this? Your parents know about this? You think this is a 45 or a 9mm? Oh, you think it's a 22? You know nothing about guns? You want to hold it? It's loaded. You want to hold it? Like, you're not going to be doing stuff like that. These people are so insane. They don't actually use their brain. I got no problems concealed carry, taking psych evals, going down there in the range, getting my hours, and I got no problems doing that stuff, taking care of making sure your kids are safe and getting a good education at the same time. But this guy, have you ever been in the classroom? You ever been in the classroom? What the hell does that have to do with anything?
I'll bring it down a notch.
All right, folks.
Have you ever worked in the school?
I've got a bill to repeal the federal...
I worked in the school for 20 years.
You're just screaming.
I was a teacher. I was screaming before you came and interrupted me. I worked.
You interrupted me. You just asked them to let them explain themselves as they're going by. That's literally what the video started with. You just said to let them explain themselves, so the guy shows up to explain himself. Like, well, you interrupted me. You just said to explain yourself, and now you don't want to listen anymore. You just want to shout and grandstand, just like we see from Karine Jean-Pierre and the rest of the Democrat Party. So the guy's going to the cameras to explain himself, which you just said to allow them to do. So everyone's like, okay, yeah, let's let him explain himself. Then you interrupt the guy.
I worked in the school for 20 years. So I worked in the school 20 years.
In every school,
I was a teacher, I was a
to
school
carry.
counselor, I was a middle school principal. I was in cafeterias
Every
protecting
school that
kids
allows
every day of my
teachers to
career.
carry.
Did he just say he was in the cafeterias protecting children? Oh my God. I was a school teacher. I was a middle school teacher. I was a principal, and I was in the cafeterias protecting the children.
There's never been a shooting. Never been a shooting. It's time. Look, we've got guns here to protect us. And
Correct.
I believe the kids should have somebody to protect them. Every school that's allowed it has never had a shooting. Not even an accidental discharge at any of the schools. So.
That's a really great point that it actually brings up, because if you look at a lot of just the shootings that take place, the data is kind of skewed on it, where a lot of the shootings take place in like a school parking lot. So when you look at school firearms or shootings that take place on campus, majority of those will take place actually in the parking lot or some other area of which they'll quantify as being on campus when nobody's even really around. So you have to really read these studies, you guys, or else somebody will really pull your leg on this stuff and make it seem like what they're saying is true, because in part it is, but it's kind of misleading and misconstruing what's actually happening there. And we see that from Democrats all the time. We've talked about it at length. For those that are familiar, I teach statistics. I'm not saying I know everything about statistics, but I will say that what they tend to do is obviously manipulate it and construe it in a way that fits their narrative and pushes the narrative. And a lot of times we see them utilizing outliers and represent that outlier as if it's a data set as a whole. So in the same way, you had Karine Jean-Pierre, prime example, like 24 hours ago, saying, oh, well, children's death, the number one of children's death is firearms. And we said, well, technically that is true, because from ages 1 to 19, so they include 18 and 19-year-olds in that, you're going to have construed data. Furthermore, they don't implement a lot of the deaths from infants and what the cause of death of infants as either. And once you include that, your denominator of the whole is going to sit there and mess with the sample space and the proportion just in general of the study alone. So that messes with everything that's happening and it construes the data. So if you made it out of 1 to 17-year-olds, that'd be more realistic. And that's actually, then you get closer to car accidents than you do actually gun-related deaths. So that's for a whole nother video. If you guys want to break down that study, guess where you can go? Boom, right here, where we actually talk about defunding the police shootings, the narrative that the Democrats are saying where unarmed black men are being hunted down in the streets. I actually break down the stats for you in here. I went back for like 60 or 80 years. I can't even remember now. I went back and actually correlated all the data for you in this book that chapter alone, I think, is honestly worth the buy. I think that chapter of Defunding the Police, the fake news media that we cover in here, and probably the abortion chapter, I think is honestly just worth the money as it is. Everything else that surrounds it is freaking great as well. This is a phenomenal read. If you buy it, folks, on Amazon, please leave us a 5-star review. It really does help support the show, and it bumps us up in the ratings exponentially. Like I mentioned, we were ranked like 1,000 out of all political books. One person added in their 5-star review, and we bumped up to 500. So if we get a couple more people, we're going to be like the top 10 or top 20 political books in all of Amazon. And Amazon has millions of books. So you guys actually taking the time to do it is benefiting the show greatly and benefiting me, a fellow conservative that, did a bucket list item, wrote a book, but it also could change the minds of some independents and Democrats maybe. Well, moving into our last story of the day, we got protesters storming Tennessee Capitol building, demanding gun control. So I wonder if this is going to be just as big news as January 6th was, because now you got a group of 400 people rushing into the Tennessee State Capitol building in Nashville on Thursday morning to protest for stricter gun laws following the mass shooting at the Covenant School earlier this week. So it's okay for them to storm the Capitol of a Tennessee, of a state, but when you storm the Capitol of a federal building, all of a sudden, you got to sit there and push a whole agenda, open up investigations, create a committee, lie to the American public for literally years, not watch the whole 40,000 hours of footage of which Tucker Carlson got his hands on. Then all of a sudden, the narrative switches and changes. You get the January 6th committee coming out and saying, oh, well, we didn't actually watch all the footage. We had low level staffers do that. They didn't really even tell us anything. We just had the narrative and we went along with it. So it's just watch how the media doesn't cover this at all. So around 500 protesters gathered around 8 a.m. local time in Tennessee before a large group of them moved literally into the Capitol, carrying signs and shouting, "No action, no peace." And what do you want? Gun control. What do you want it now? It's always the same chant. Like, can they not get creative here? So there was footage from inside the Capitol that showed at least 6 Tennessee state troopers holding back a crowd of angry protesters as they attempt to reach lawmakers. So as always, folks, we got to play this stuff together. Just give it a moment here. We're running a little bit slow today, but, nonetheless, we will still have it all set up for you. It is kind of loud, folks. A lot of shouting. That's typical of hearing from the Democrats. Let's go ahead and roll it.
No peace! No action! 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 No peace!
All right, it's kind of dying out a little bit because they got tired, right? They're all out of shape. They don't know what the hell is going on. They're just there, probably getting paid by Soros or somebody. So emotions outside the House chambers are still high with those people going in. It was a Tennessee nonprofit called Awake that planned the protest, and the group seeks to improve conditions for women and children, according to the New York Post. So some of these people are literally basically teenagers or college age. Maybe they should spend more time studying than they should be going and sitting there running into the Capitol of a state building. And by the way, I wasn't for the January 6th thing either. I don't think there was an insurrection. I think that's a little bit silly. Oh, they're taking over the government. They're taking us over. Really? I mean, you could say the same thing here. They're taking over the Tennessee Capitol. They're taking over the state. They're running it over. They're going to take hold of it. Bunch of idiots, man. I'm telling you, people are so insane nowadays. Quote, "We have collaborated with community organizations and individual citizens to organize a rally at the state capitol Thursday morning. If you are looking for a way to channel your grief, anger, and confusion into action, please join us." We see this all the time, right? They're so confused. They're pent up with emotions, so they got to take to the streets. Thankfully, they didn't burn down any buildings like we saw from Black Lives Matter and Antifa for literally years under the Trump administration, where everything was somehow racist. You see how that works? Everything's racist somehow when a Republican's in office, but when you got somebody that literally the vice president called a racist during the presidential campaign, all of a sudden there's no storming to the streets anymore. All of a sudden there's no police brutality. All of a sudden there's none of this stuff. It's amazing how all that works out, right? But none of this is planned, right? There's not actual operatives in those crowds and incentivizing the violence like we saw on January 6th. None of that's happening, you guys. I have to be so careful with my words on here. I am of strong belief, and you know what? Let's take a moment here because I actually want your guys' take on this. I was going to write this in the live chat yesterday, but I don't want to lower the mood. Hand to God, and I really do. Everybody that watches the show, usually there's almost 50 of us that watch the show live together every morning. Do you guys think we're being shadow banned? Hand to God. I have over 32,000 subs, right? I would say about every hour we see probably anywhere about 25 to 35 views an hour. Our videos, we'll see most videos. There's some videos that have been up for like a week that get like 60 to 80 views. I have 32 1,000 subscribers. I didn't pay for any of them. I'm not one of those. Those are all legit subscribers that saw the show, saw some videos, and actually subbed. Either the videos suck, which might be the case. You're not going to hurt my feelings of saying, hey, Brad, you got to upgrade this. You got to put some more effort in. If you have any constructive criticism, obviously write in so we can make the show better. But I've heard from a lot of people that really enjoy the show, and they can't believe that we have a certain amount of views. And I've talked to YouTube. They say, oh, nothing's happening. Nothing weird's happening. Although you guys are writing in saying, hey, you know, there's comments being deleted. My bell notifications turning off and on its own. All these things are happening. And I actually sent them the list of your names, and they said they'd contact you guys, of which I've heard they haven't contacted anybody. I think I'm being shadow banned. What do you guys think? I don't know what to do about it. It is extremely hard to grow the show, and I'm almost going to probably call Rumble and see if I could break a deal with them just to move over to Rumble maybe at some point, because this is insane, you guys. I mean, it's amazing how our viewership just plateaus. If anybody knows stats, that's not realistic that you're going to have a uniform distribution like that of literally 30 to 35 views every hour, which makes me believe that literally they sat there and throttled it so that it only gets 30 to 35 views an hour. Very weird. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Oh boy, am I going to read those ones. One protester, a high school teacher from New Jersey named Jack, oh, hi, Jack, told the Daily Wire that his father is a teacher at the Covenant School, the school that had the children and other staff members pass away or murdered. Jack joined the protest to call for more gun control and said the lawmakers would have blood on their hands if they don't take action on gun control legislation. See, if you don't agree with them, you're going to have blood on your hands. If you don't think that you should have your firearms taken away or taken away from your fellow countrymen, you should have blood on your hands and you should be guilty. You know, matter of fact, you should be tried for murder. That's how insane these people are. You should be sitting there on the stand being tried for murder because you're complicit in this behavior of these mass shooters going into these schools and shooting everybody up. You're complicit in it. Why? Because you don't want to sit there and have your guns confiscated. You don't want to sit there and remove the Second Amendment. So you should be tried as a murder. That's basically where they're going here with all this stuff. Tennessee Democrats advertised for the event in days and hours leading up to it, encouraging people to attend and raise their voice at the Capitol to advocate for an end to gun violence and stronger gun laws in Tennessee. Just because you have stronger gun laws does not mean criminals are going to stop doing what they're doing. And they can't wrap their head around it because they don't know how to critically think. That's why the IQ has gone down for the first time in 100 years. We got a bunch of people showing up on all these events that don't have a damn clue on how to use this up here. And so when they show up to start chanting stuff, no, no, peace, no, peace. They don't have a damn clue what they're talking about. I could probably show them a basic bell curve and they would have no idea what they're looking at. And again, I'm not saying I'm smart. I'm not trying to sit there and say I'm above everybody else. I think I'm an idiot personally, but that's why, folks, it's called the Bald Brad Show for a reason, right? I mean, yeah, I am bald, but it's also a show that's not like the Brad Roberts Show or the True American Patriot Show. It's supposed to be loose. Of course, we sit here and we yell and we scream and we get all animated, right? But also, it's not supposed to be taken too seriously. It's called the Bald Brad Show. I mean, how serious could it be? But at the same time, you're dealing with a bunch of knuckleheads running the streets called Democrats. How can I take them serious when they're saying silly stuff? Silly stuff. So it's insane. They're storming the Capitol. We'll see if anything's made of this from the Democrat Party, right? So now we have ammo ourselves. Well, you guys are sitting there insurrectionists. You're insurrectionists too. Now you're insurrectionists. Perfect. Now we got ammo. Everybody remember Tennessee Capitol, March 30th, insurrection. So there we go. They can't sit there and use it against us anymore. They did the exact same thing we did. We just did it on a grander scale. As Republicans do everything on a grander scale, so we do everything better. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.